There are two things certain in life: that I love clue scrolls, and that clue scrolls are an incredible moneymaker within RuneScape. However, there are some glaring issues with this amazing piece of content, and one of them definitely is Alt 1. So, let's talk about it. Yo, what's going on guys? My name's Chevalric, and today we're going to be talking about my favorite piece of content within RuneScape, clue scrolls, and mainly the issues that I personally have with them. And as I said in the intro, one of them actually is Alt 1. I don't think it should be a part of the game, but it has to be there because there's no alternative given to you by Jagex. And we'll get into more detail later on in this video, but I want to hear from you guys because I will be working with the Clue Chasers community, the biggest clue chasing or clue scroll Discord within RuneScape, on making clues as accessible as possible. And I want you guys' input on it. What kind of things would you like to learn about? We're looking at presets, beginner ones, medium ones, advanced ones, how to do every single step efficiently, literally everything you could think of. But are there certain things that you want to see in those videos? But if you're going to enjoy this certain video, definitely leave a like on it, subscribe if you're new. Also, I stream live on Twitch every single day, including clue scrolls. If you want to learn something, go check me out. It's 6 p.m. game time, 7 p.m. EU time, 1 p.m. Pacific or Eastern Standard Time, and 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and whatever that works out to you. I think it's in the middle of the night for Australian people. I'm really sorry. But without further ado, let's just get into the video. So, before we get into the issues, I just kind of want to reflect on clue scrolls just a little bit, because there's still people that don't seem to know that clue scrolls are actually good money. I still see posts on Reddit and on Twitter like, oh wow, I haven't played RuneScape, or I haven't sold a clue scroll in such a while, and look at how much money is in there. It's just good, like, and it's just a fortune component. Because back in the day, clue scrolls used to be that extra money from PVM. You would solve a clue scroll, you might get like 150k, 200k extra, like how it is in old school RuneScape. And sometimes there's this drop that's like 1 or 2 million GP. And if you're really lucky, you would get a third HPs or something big. But over the years, that obviously changed because fortune components were introduced with Invention. If you don't know what fortune components are, they're just rare items like the H items or the U composite bows or any other unique besides the G and T armor sets and Saradoming and Zamrak armor sets in clue scrolls. And they pretty much give you a guaranteed 1.5 million GP, because fortune components are needed in Invention to craft things like Essence of Finality or Passage of the Abyss, or anything that requires an alchemical onyx or an alchemical hydric. So they will always hold value, and the value that they are right now pretty much corresponds, Jesus Christ, to what the pieces of jewelry are actually worth. So pretty much the jewelry is worth 50 fortune components plus a little bit extra for the other components that you need to make for it. But there are issues with clue scrolls, and one of them is just accessibility, because a lot of people struggle getting into clue scrolls. And one of the main reasons is A, they don't know about Alt 1 Toolkit, which is a clue scroll helper, or well, part of it is in the clue scroll helper. Or B, they don't know if you can use it because it's an outside of the game resource that is not from Jagex, or Jagex is not actively working with them, like for example the wiki. So people are very on the fence about it. Look, Jagex is okay with you using Alt 1 because it doesn't interact with you with the game. Like, it doesn't do anything with the game. It doesn't add anything into the game. All it does, it's an overlay that reads your screen. And there's no difference between Alt 1 reading a puzzle box and telling you how to solve it, compared to you copy and pasting that picture into the wiki and then letting the wiki solve it for you. Or, well, let the wiki give you the solution on how to solve it. But what is the issue with Alt 1? It sounds like a nice toolkit, and it sounds like it's something very useful. Yes, it is, like 100%, like I do agree. And I think right now, at this moment in time, because there's nothing from within the game that helps you with this, helps you enough with this, is what I would like to add. Because I know with puzzle boxes, for example, there is this feature where you can see where every piece should be, but even that doesn't really help people, and I'll get into that in just a moment. But it's good, and we need it right now, because if it wasn't for Alt 1 Toolkit, I feel like a lot of people wouldn't do clue scrolls, and that would literally have an effect on PVM, because there would not be enough fortune components coming into the game, and all the jewelry would just skyrocket in price. So you could say that could be a good thing, but on the other hand, that's probably not great as well, because I think right now Essence of Finality is like worth 300 mil or something, 350 mil, which I think is a really nice price for what it is, right? And I don't think it should go any higher, and definitely not any lower. But how can we even solve this Alt 1 issue? Because what is the issue at all? But I think that there shouldn't be outside resources required to play RuneScape, but unfortunately there is. Look, I feel like looking up a drop table on the wiki is something different than using something like Alt1 or even quick guides, because quick guides I feel like should just be in the game at this point because everyone uses them. RuneScape works with the wiki, so why not add a quick guide function within the quest tab functionality or screen in general instead of the cryptic whatever text that are there right now. I mean, they're getting better as they are, but at this point just add a quick guide functionality to it, especially after the guide has been released on the wiki or whatever. Just make a system for it so it imports it automatically. I don't know, but I feel like there should not be outside of the game resources unless they are adding to the game where you are having a choice to look extra things up, right? Like if you want to really know the fine print, like a drop table or some lore about a situation. But I feel like something as pivotal as how to do a quest should not be outside of the game. And the same goes with Alt1. Like you have an outside resource needed to solve clue scrolls. And that shows that clue scrolls are a flawed design, at least in my opinion. And one of the things are, for example, coordinates. You need to look up the coordinates on the wiki because otherwise you're just looking around with the sextant and whatever the other thing is called around RuneScape, and sure, you could argue you could memorize the coordinates, but why can't your character memorize the coordinates? And that's exactly what my solution would be for coordinates. I don't think that you should just do a coordinate once and then your character kind of knows and just shows the solution. What I think that maybe after like 10 or 15, or maybe make it a clue scroll shop unlock, that after a little while, after like, I don't know, 500 points or something, you can unlock the ability to learn coordinate clues. And what it would do is, for example, you have the Mortmire Swamp clue scroll. It would be giving you a, like, it would give the coordinate, and underneath the coordinate, it would say something like, hey, I remember this being in the swamp or something. Like, just your character having like a mental note of the coordinate that he read, and they're just being like little tips, because quite frankly you can deduct where the coordinate is from the tip that you could think of it. Obviously if the tip is clear enough. Like, there are multiple ones in the desert, so if it's like, oh yeah, this is probably in the desert, well, be a bit more specific and be like, oh, this clue is near a cactus near a waterfront in the desert, which is the one near the bandit camp, for example. I think that would be a great solution to the coordinate clues and not having to look them up anymore. But going into puzzle boxes, and I feel like my main issue with regular slider puzzles, I know there are other puzzles, but I quite frankly don't have a cutthroat or cut clean solution for this, because I still don't know how they really work, especially the lockbox. Well, the lockbox is not that difficult, just matching emblems, right? And that's something pretty easy to learn. But I think the main issue for a lot of people are the ones like the tower defense thing. I can't think of it right now, the name, but if you don't clue scroll, you do know, and give it a better explanation to people, because the explanation in RuneScape is a bit vague and I still don't really understand it. But when it comes to puzzle boxes, I think people's biggest hurdle when doing elite clue scrolls and hard clue scrolls, whatever, well, they're the only two tiers that have them, but is just solving them, and especially the amount of time. First of all, reduce the amount of time from like literally half the amount of time it takes to solve them. Right now, on average, a puzzle box can take up to 180 steps. Just make it so it's like 70 or 80 steps maximum. In old school RuneScape, I believe it's like 50 steps maximum to solve a puzzle box as most efficiently as possible. And Alt1 shows you the amount of steps you do, and on average I get like 150 or between 120 and 150 steps on average to solve a clue scroll, and it's just too long. Like, start with that, at least in my opinion. But another thing that could generally help is numbering the spot, like the square. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then like whatever it is. Like, I don't know how much a clue scroll puzzle box actually is, but overall, I just think that they should make it so that they're numbered and you know where every single spot means. So like top left needs to be 1, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 4, 5, 6, and etc. Like, just from left to right. Because for me, who is visually impaired and struggles with seeing details on something like a puzzle box, especially so small in RuneScape, is very difficult, and it makes it very difficult for me to do clue scroll. Even though RuneScape does give you the solution in game now, which is great, it's still difficult for me to solve it. So just give us numbers or something, or anything, and that probably already makes it a lot easier for people to solve without Alt1, and then make it so, you know, as I said, have it numbered and have the steps halved, and it would be a lot more accessible for people. But in general, that's just my issue with Alt1, or just in general with how clue scrolls are currently designed. And I think that RuneScape needs to give better guidelines. Well, not necessarily better guidelines on how to solve them, right? Because I feel like solving them and learning how to solve them is part of the fun. That's kind of like what Clue Scrolls should be. But I feel like they should give some more features to us, or at least the less experienced cluers, to be able to do it a little bit easier, make it a lot less tedious. Because a lot of people that use Alt 1 or never knew about Alt 1 or were scared to use Alt 1 and are now finally learning Clue Scrolls and stuff are saying like, oh my god, this is such good content, it's great money, it's nice and chill to do, and you can make just bank of it, right? And it's something that is not difficult to learn. It's not like PVM, it's not high intensity, it's just very chill content that you can do after like an hour of PVM or when you don't know what to do in RuneScape. And it's great content, but there's just things like coordinate clues or puzzle boxes or the use of Alt 1 or whatever holding people back. And I know there needs to be a lot of fixes in general and buffs to Clue Scrolls, and I might make an entire separate video on it because the Clue Chasers have an entire sheet on it and it pretty much knocks everything on the head in my opinion. But yeah, that is just my personal opinion about Alt 1 and just Clue Scrolls in general. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think about this, because I guess it's a bit of an unpopular opinion, but that is just currently my opinion and state of Clue Scrolls. But if you're going to enjoy this video or did enjoy this video, definitely leave a like, subscribe if you are new, and my name is Chevalric, and I'll see you guys in my next video.